What's up, programmer? In this video, I am going to explain 2D arrays in C++ programming. So what is a 2D array? A 2D array is basically like a normal array, except it is now in two-dimensional form. Each value or element in the 2D array can be accessed by a pair of indexes, the first index for the row and the second index for the column. Now I am going to show you how to create a 2D array in C++ programming. First, we need to type the data type that we want, then the name for the 2D array, and then two sets of square brackets. Now the first value you place in the first square bracket is going to be the number of rows that you want. The second value for the second square bracket is the number of columns that you want. So in this example, I created a 2D array with 3 rows and 4 columns. We can also create a 2D array with values by using the curly brackets. In this example, we created the same 2D array as before, except that we are just setting each specific value in each specific index position in the 2D array. For example, 1 is in the first row and the first column, but 7 is in the second row and the third column. Now the main difference between the first way and the second way of creating a 2D array is that the first way, you're going to have to set the values later on in your program depending on when you want to use the 2D array, while for the second way, you already initialized the values in the 2D array when you first created it. Now if you want to loop through a 2D array, we can do so just like this. We will basically have 2 for loops, one on the outside and the other for loop that is inside. So now we have 2 for loops. This loop on the outside with the variable I is called the outer for loop, and this for loop on the inside with the variable j is called the inner for loop. So basically for this outer for loop, it will go through one row at a time, which is counted by the I variable, and then for each row, it will go through each column in that row, which is counted by the j variable. Then it will go through the next row and each column in that row and continue the process until every row and column is done. So when we run the program, you can see that every value in that particular 2D array was printed on the console. So this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row, which you can notice right here when we first created this 2D array. Now if we go down, this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the third column, and this is the fourth column. So these are the values in this particular 2D array that has 3 rows and 4 columns. As mentioned before, the for loop goes through one row at a time, prints out every value in each column for that particular row, and then it will go to the next row, print out each value in each column for that specific row, and then it will continue the process until it is finished. Now if you want to access a specific value or element in the 2D array, you just need to know the row and column index. For example, to access the element in the second row and third column, we just need index 1 and index 2. So the value in the second row and the third column is going to be 7. So when we run the program, you can see that the value that was printed on the console is 7. Now, the thing you want to make sure that you understand is that 2D arrays are just like regular arrays because they also have index that starts at 0. The first row in the 2D array will be accessed with index 0, the second row with 1, until you get to n-1, where n is the number of rows. The same thing goes for columns. The first column is with index 0, the second column is with index 1, until you get to n-1, where n is the number of columns. Additionally, if you are still having trouble with 2D arrays, you want to make sure that you understand regular 1D arrays first before you start working with 2D arrays. I demonstrated regular arrays in this video, so you want to make sure that you go watch that video next. Anyways, this is easy syntax, and I hope you enjoyed the video.